สวัสดีค่ะ and His Excellency Dato Lim Jok Hoi Secretary General of ASEAN คุณถาปนาสิริวัฒนภักดี Chairman of ASEAN Excellencies distinguished guests ladies and gentlemen let me begin by expressing my heartfelt appreciation to ASEAN for inviting me to speak at the ASEAN Forum 2022 today. As ASEAN celebrates the ASEAN Day and the 55th anniversary of ASEAN, I am delighted for the opportunity to commemorate this special occasion and share my thoughts on the importance of partnerships in ASEAN. 55 years ago, the founding fathers of ASEAN, the Foreign Minister of Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand gathered here in Bangkok and signed the Bangkok Declaration, setting in motion the establishment of ASEAN. The visions of our founding fathers laid a strong foundation for partnerships and cooperation to ensure that Southeast Asia could be the master of its own destiny and become a region of peace, stability, and prosperity. Since then, ASEAN has come a long way and made a number of remarkable achievements. I'm proud to say that from a small beginning, we have become one of the most successful regional organizations, a powerful engine driving the global economy, and a model for regionalism and multilateralism. ASEAN has transformed itself into a community that is dynamic, inclusive, rules-based, and people-centered. It has successfully delivered to its people a peaceful, stable, and economically viable community. ASEAN is now the fifth largest economy in the world and is expected to rise up to the fourth rank by 2030. Today is an occasion for us not just to celebrate, but also to look back on ASEAN's journey, what we have accomplished together, and how Thailand, as one of the founding members, has contributed to the success of ASEAN during these 5 decades. When ASEAN was founded, it was during the Cold War period. Southeast Asia was in turmoil, facing an uncertain future. The relations among countries within and outside the region was driven by competition, confrontation, rivalry, and mutual mistrust. But gradually, through a culture of dialogue, cooperation, consultation, and consensus, which has become what we call the ASEAN Way, as His Excellency the Ambassador of Cambodia just mentioned, ASEAN has successfully promoted peace, stability, and security in the region. During this difficult time, ASEAN developed tools and mechanisms such as the Zone of Peace, Freedom, and Neutrality, and the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia in order to build up a sense of mutual trust and confidence, as well as to overcome differences and conflicts. I think it is fair to say that without ASEAN, it would have been impossible for the region to get through the challenging period of the Cold War. Excuse me. As our organization began to grow, ASEAN has expanded its members to include all countries in Southeast Asia. And over the years, closer relations, increasing trust and confidence, and enhanced partnership among ASEAN member states have contributed to greater well-being and better livelihood of our peoples, as well as regional economic growth. 2 decades after the inception of ASEAN, His Excellency Prime Minister Anand Panyarachun proposed an idea of establishing the region's free trade area to other ASEAN leaders. Since then, AFTA has helped deepen regional economic integration and attract more foreign direct investment to this region. AFTA has also become a very first step towards the establishment of the ASEAN Economic Community and serve as a basis for free trade arrangements between ASEAN and our external partners, as well as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, which is the world's biggest free trade agreement covering around 1/3 of the world population. Another example of ASEAN success is our cooperation to address COVID-19. Although our fight against the pandemic has not ended, our regional cooperation to respond to this pandemic has proven to be effective. ASEAN has come up with a number of initiatives on COVID-19, including the COVID-19 ASEAN Response Fund, which Thailand has proposed 2 years ago. The ASEAN leaders also adopted the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework, which served as the consolidated exit strategy from the pandemic to support the region's recovery and enable us to build back better. These are just a few of ASEAN key achievements that I want to highlight. Our past achievements were indeed a result of constructive partnerships based on close ties, mutual trust, and mutual respect, not just among ASEAN member states, but with our external partners. Now, ASEAN is beginning another chapter. We are working on the ASEAN community's post-2025 vision, which will portray and envision the ASEAN community we want to live in and guide our cooperation in the future. As we move forward, we cannot just rest on our past successes. However, we must look to the future and strengthen ourselves to be able to overcome emerging challenges, both from within and outside ASEAN, such as rapidly evolving geopolitics, confrontation and rivalry between major powers, and transboundary challenges, as well as to tap into our new opportunities that innovations and new technologies offer us. This will help us build a better future for our region and peoples. And in my view, going forward, we need to attach importance to the following points. First, is forging and advancing partnerships. No single country can tackle and overcome complex and multifaceted challenges in today's connected and globalized world. This is also a case for ASEAN. What happens in one ASEAN member state directly affected and has a bearing on the rest. And only through cooperation and collaboration will we be able to address such challenges. To achieve that, we must maintain our unity, solidarity. We cannot merely think about our own national interests, but to pursue them in tandem with the advancing broader regional interest. Second, is fostering a peaceful environment to advance the socio-economic development in the region. ASEAN must work to maintain this region as a region of peace and stability, not a theater of confrontation among major powers. To achieve that, ASEAN must strengthen ASEAN centrality so that it would not be dominated by greater powers and remains the driving force in the region. We need to promote the spirit of partnership and collaboration rather than that of distrust and unhealthy competition. This is, of course, easier said than done. What we need is a sustained and strong political will from all ASEAN member states. We must show to our partners and international community that ASEAN centrality is not just our mantra, but something we truly observe and act upon. ASEAN must demonstrate its centrality by ways of constructively engaging all major powers, strengthening an open, transparent, inclusive, and rule-based regional architecture, and promoting strategic trust as well as win-win cooperation through the ASEAN-led mechanisms. This will enhance ASEAN's standing as a responsible player and a voice of reason in the fast-changing geopolitics and increasing confrontation between major powers. Third, the various challenges facing ASEAN and the world today, be they COVID-19 and climate change, are a wake-up call for all of us to do more on enhancing our resilience. Therefore, ASEAN must prioritize the sustainability agenda to make our region even more resilient and enable ASEAN to withstand different kinds of challenges. On Thailand's part, entrusted to serve as the ASEAN Coordinator on Sustainable Development Cooperation since 2016, we have worked with ASEAN member states and partners to promote complementarities between the ASEAN Community Vision 2025 and the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Thailand has introduced the Bio-Circular Green or BCG economy model as a strategy for post-COVID recovery and building long-term inclusive and sustainable growth. The BCG has also been adopted as the overarching thinking behind APEC 2022 Thailand's themes and priorities under the theme Open, Connect, Balance. It is now an opportunity for us to rethink how we can create a more balanced and sustainable path to future growth, taking into account key megatrends such as digital transformation, demographic change, and shift in global economic power. ASEAN should push forward an ASEAN Green Agenda, which covers issues such as clean energy, environmental protection, biodiversity conservation, sustainable use of natural resources, digital inclusion, and sustainable urbanization. Through an ASEAN Green Agenda, which requires partnership from all stakeholders, ASEAN can achieve an environmentally friendly economic growth and become a sustainable home for all of us and generations to come. Last but not least, we must continue to do our utmost to realize our common vision of a people-centered ASEAN community. We must ensure that growth and prosperity from our regional integration process benefits every sector in the society, leaving no one behind. We also need to ensure that our peoples enjoy human rights and fundamental freedoms, as well as intensify cooperation in areas that will increase human security and people's resilience. Certainly, we need to further raise ASEAN awareness and promote ASEAN identity to forge closer ties and friendships among our peoples. And with that, I really thank ASEAN for the work to raise awareness of ASEAN among ASEAN people. But to be a truly people-centered community, ASEAN should open more space for peoples to engage in ASEAN process. This way, our peoples will have a sense of ownership of ASEAN and can take part in advancing regional growth and prosperity. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the future seems to be filled with uncertainties. The road ahead for ASEAN might not be easy, but I am confident that through our partnerships, ASEAN will continue to grow and be a community that our peoples can be proud of. Thank you and happy ASEAN Day to everyone. ขอบคุณค่ะ